Hello everyone. Yesterday Konami updated the ban list actually kind of early. Usually, at least as far as I remember, they wait until the very first day of the month to do it, but yesterday they posted almost 2 weeks early the list for this upcoming April. So I am excited to get to talk about it. Now the first two cards that we have on the forbidden list are Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. As I say these, I'm going to go to each card. Morphing Jar, really old staple. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. You flip, both players discard their hands and then draw 5 cards. And then Morphing Jar number 2. This is also just as old of a card, but not a whole lot of people use it. Shuffles all monsters on the field into the deck. Both players flip cards onto the top. If they're spells and traps, they go to the grave. If they're monsters that are level 4 or lower that can be special summoned, they get special summoned face down defense onto the field. And the reason why these are being banned is because they're only commonly used in kind of trolley decks that go for OTKs or even FTKs like Empty Jar, which uses Morphing Jar. And then especially with the new jackpot cards that were recently released, there's going to be a lot more Morphing Jar use of it, it's kind of similar to Empty Jar. So I don't disagree at all with hitting these, although it does kind of sadden me because they're two of my favorite cards. I used to use them a long time ago back in the day when they were pretty new. I have my Jar deck, which is now basically retired because of that. But anyways, I don't disagree with these. Again, they're only popular in troll decks, so really it doesn't matter about them getting hit. It's just kind of like for a conveniency thing. Next up, and that was it for the forbidden list. Luckily, nothing else was banned. Next up is Cult Soldier Wolfbark. I'm kind of on the fence about this one. I don't think it's a broken card. I think they could have semi-limited it, but at the same time, it's not really a bad idea. I mean, limiting it isn't exactly a bad idea either. Once per turn, you can target a level 4 or lower, just a level 4 fire beast warrior type monster in your grave, special summon it in defense. And it's kind of a simple, bland effect, but at the same time, what it does is it allows you to go into a rank 4 that you need Beast Warriors to make, it's a Fire Fist XYZ, and when you make it, you get to set a one of the Fire Fist formation spell or traps from your deck to your field. So what you do is you choose, Tenki, and then when you activate Tenki, you can search another Wolfbark, and it creates a little miniature loop, so you can make a new one every single turn, which it gives you a free 2400 beater as long as you have Tenki on the field. And you can also negate monster effects with it. So if you're ever in a pinch, you summon Wolfbark, and then for 3 turns you do the same thing, and then by then your hand is replenished. So I don't disagree with this either. This is a good card to limit. I'm glad they didn't ban it or anything. Next up is Mermail Abyss. I also agree with this card. Mermails just have too much access to all of their level 7s and their big monsters. They can basically get them out at a moment's notice, and a lot of decks aren't able to keep up with that, especially because they have so many removal cards. So when this card is discarded to the grave, you target a Mermail monster and then you special summon it. Very simple effect, especially because it combos with basically every other monster that they have in the deck. Next we're still on the limited list. We have Rekindling. I'm amazed that this card hasn't been hit until now. This is needed to get hit really badly for multiple reasons. A really simple card that you just special summon from your grave as many fire monsters as possible, 200 defense. Then during the end phase, they all get banished, but that downside doesn't matter at all because you get to use the 5 cards that you summon, or at least if you have 5 monsters, you can use them all before they actually get banished. And there's just so many good decks that can just abuse the hell out of this card. There's a lot of different fire archetypes that they have monsters with 200 defense. So especially in Quasar decks, you could essentially just have Rekindling and then a specific level 1 tuner in your hand, and you have Quasar, which is really dumb. 2 cards to go into Quasar. So this card needed to get hit. It's been a long time coming. Next up, we have Infernity Barrier. Infernities aren't that popular, but at the same time, I have wanted this card to be banned, but limiting it is fine just as well. But I wanted this card to be on the list for so long now. It's essentially a searchable Solemn Judgment with no cost. It negates a spell or trap card or a monster's effect, which That's okay. It's a little bit different than a Solemn Judgment, but it's pretty much just as good. The only thing it doesn't do is negate monster summons, but it still negates their effect. And the only downside to the card is that you need no cards in your hand, which for Infernity decks, that's incredibly easy to do. And if they opened up even halfway decent and the Infernity player knows what they're doing, they can get triple of these onto the field, and it's like, wait, what do? You have, even if you have 6 cards in your hand, essentially that limits you to 3, and they all need to be answers. So this card is just kind of ridiculous. It also needed to be on the list, even though Infernities aren't that popular. Next we go to the semi-limited list, so not a whole lot of cards being hit overall. It's just a small handful, but I think it's a good one. Next up we have Necro Face. I don't have much to say about this one. Like, I'm kind of on the fence if they needed to hit it at all. On one hand, it probably hasn't seen a whole lot of play, at least I haven't seen it played much. But on the other hand, it does have a pretty nasty effect, just because the reason why they banished cards like D-Fissure and Macrocosmos, or not banned them but limited them, is because banishing cards used to be really, really unique, and it wasn't commonly done because it was kind of difficult, so that made it feel special and worth doing when you could actually do it. It was really rewarding. And Necroface is one of those staples that's still left that it can just banish an outrageous amount of cards. Although, to actually use its effect really well, you need to send the cards back to the deck, so I kind of see where they're coming from. Again, not that much to say about this card. I don't really have any strong feelings of it either way. I mean, if they want to make it unlimited, I'd be fine. If they want to make it forbidden or limited, I don't care about that either. Next up is Hieratic Seal of Convocation. This is a really good just add a heretic monster from your deck to your hand. I've always kind of thought that was a little bit too good. I've never really seen Hieratics as being broken or anything, although just the thought of when you play a Hieratic deck, it's like, you know that they're going to have these, and then they can search out any monster that they want in their deck. And in my opinion, it makes them a little bit too consistent, because they do have some pretty nasty plays where if you don't have a nice amount of traps on the field or something to stop their play, they will OTK you like it's nothing. So semi-limiting this, not a bad idea. I'm kind of on the fence if I want to see it limited or not, but I don't really hate the card or anything, so not really a big deal. And then finally, looking at the newly unlimited cards, we have Magical Stone of Excavation. This is, you discard 2 cards, target a spell from your grave, add it to your hand. This was primarily being used in troll decks that use cards like Morphing Jar, because they would send it to the or I'm sorry, not for Morphing Jar, but I don't even have any examples off the top of my head, but it was being used primarily in troll decks. And because most of those have been more or less dismantled by the list as of recently, this card really kind of lost some of its value, and for people actually using it, it won't really feel overpowered or anything. It'll just be an average card again. So making it unlimited is a good call in my opinion. Then finally, we have Primal Seed to finish off the list. This is a card that really should have never been on the list in the first place. It's only good when you have Blackluster Soldier on the field, and it does have a really, really good effect, but because Blackluster Soldier is at 1, and because it's really, really hard to get out onto the field and actually keep there, no one has ever used this card. It's not actually good. It's way too combo reliant, so it's just never needed to be on the list in the first place. And anyways, that takes care of the next format's list. Overall, not that many cards, but I would say that they were decent hits. Konami is just continuing along with their making the game really balanced for all, and it's just really good in my opinion that you very rarely run into decks that feel trollish or don't let you play your deck or anything. And I think that's a good direction to be headed in. It makes the game more fun for everyone. So if you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, subscribe, and stay brutal.